No, Heather's not going to join us. Okay. You Irish? Burgess, is that Irish?
English.
Okay, just
Yeah.
you Irish?
What's that?
Irish?
No.
Italian? What's your? I know you're in the clan, but are you Irish?
No.
I mean, okay.
I wore the green.
All right, no, but I mean,
support.
I married in like you did.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. Today they all are. That's
Yeah.
we're good. Okay. All right. Good evening and welcome to the March meeting of the Paxton Planning Board. Today is Monday, March 17th. So happy St. Patrick's Day to all my fellow Irish people out there in town and in wherever you're watching from. It's 7 p.m. and we're located at the Public Safety Complex. The entire planning board members are here. So with that, we'll get underway with the first article or agenda item, which is to approve the minutes from the 27th of January.
I'll make a motion to approve January 27th, 2025 minutes.
Do we have a second?
I will second.
Okay. Any discussion, edits, anything you folks would like to do? I happen to be absent that evening, so. David, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and I will abstain, and I believe, Bruno, you will abstain too, because you weren't on the board. That was the night you were appointed?
Yeah, it was my first night.
Okay. All right, so we'll do it that way. We'll take 3 ayes. We'll do it that way. All right, next order is the approval of minutes from February 3rd. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes?
I'll make a motion.
Do we have a second?
I will second.
All right, any further discussion? All right, call the roll. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I will
Okay.
abstain.
There you go. Peter was absent. All right. The next item, we're going to kind of take it out of order based on the publication of the agenda for this evening, is to bring the community kind of up to date with where we stand with the zoning bylaw review. At the present time, and Brooke, if you can help me with this, we have hard copies available. Is that correct?
Yeah, I will have the first one available at Town Hall tomorrow.
All right, so
I'm just
they'll be
waiting on-
available at the town hall. These
Yes.
are the red line editions, so people can see what we're changing and moving.
Yes, it'll be one binder with the current version, a red light version, and then a hypothetical, if the changes were accepted, version, all in one binder. And I'll have the first binder out tomorrow at Town Hall.
Okay,
the
but
morning.
when we're complete, they'll be at town hall, the library, here at the public safety complex.
And then the COA.
Okay, and at the COA. So those of you that are taking a heartfelt interest in this proposed changes that we're making, at the present time, based on what took place last November at the special town meeting, we are not making any changes to the business zoning. It will stay as it is. The biggest changes that you will see as you go through the existing version versus what we're calling the red line version now is moving sections of the code or the bylaws around to make them a little more efficient. So we're going to have a definition section, and each subsequent section to that will refer to definitions if you need to. So it makes it a little easier for us and people looking to comply with those rules and bylaws to go through that. The next item that is still under work, I guess, or working on as we move forward, are the MBTA community requirements. At the present time, I believe we've had communication with the Office of EOHLC, Okay, thank you. Got that down. I have no idea what it stands for, but I got the letters down. We're good. And this is not going to be ready at the present time because we have to submit a preliminary draft of the bylaw, and then the EHOLC has up to 90 days to review that and comment on it, so that we will probably be following up again with another special town meeting later this year. My guess is after Labor Day, at that point when everybody's back from vacations and stuff like that. But again, you can stay tuned for that. If you have any questions, they can be sent to the planning board through Brooke. Would you care to give everybody your town email, just so I don't make a mistake?
Sure, it's B as in boy, M as in Mary, ALI, F as in Frank, F as in Frank, at townofpaxton.net.
.net, okay. All right, so if you have concerns or questions or information that you would like to have us discuss, we would appreciate that. The last item in terms of the timeline and review is there will be a public hearing held on April 7th, which I believe is 3 weeks, 3 weeks from tonight, at 7 p.m. here at the Public Safety Complex. So that will be your opportunity to come and discuss with us in the form of a hearing, a public hearing, and it will also be Zoom at that point, so it's a hybrid meeting if you have concerns and can't make it here in person, to have us, again, discuss and resolve any questions that you have that may act as an impediment to the passing of this at the annual town meeting in May. Okay. Any questions, anybody here from the public? Yes, please.
I just have to add, we're not sure it's going to be a hybrid meeting because they didn't extend the decision to continue the hybrid meetings for public hearings. We don't have that decision yet.
Okay.
I think it's by the end of this month, but we have to post the ad before then, so.
Okay, well, then stay tuned, and we'll keep you posted as to what it is. Steve?
I actually have an update for you.
Okay, pull your microphone in a little bit.
MMA published a document or an email today out to the public that it has been extended, and I am more than happy to share that with all of you.
The extension of the hybrid meetings.
Correct.
Okay. All right, so then I guess at this point, we will then have a hybrid part of the hearing that the planning board will be holding on April 7th for
Yes, and I will
discussion.
share that with you and with you, Brooke, and make sure you both get that.
Okay.
The copy of that email.
All right. Roberta, anything to add at this point? I'm going to let you go early. I told you it would be quick as long as you showed up. How's 5 minutes? Good. Sir, any questions back? Yes?
No, I'm here as a member of the charter.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, thank you. All right, then with that, we're going to move the meeting along to discussion with the Charter Review Committee. In your packets that the planning board members have received, there is a copy of the current charter. Is that correct, Steve?
Yes.
Okay,
What
so-
I forwarded to you is a copy of the current town charter.
All right, so we'll entertain your interaction with us.
All right, thank you very much, folks, for your time and your attention this evening. My name, for those of you that may not know me, is Steve Rubesco. I have been a active member of the Finance Committee for many, many years. I have since stepped down to take on a brand-new challenge, that challenge being chairing the Charter Review Committee. Back in late summer, early fall, the Board of Selectmen, or Select Board, the Select Board, having had on their goals for many years the revision of the existing town charter, decided to take action and put out a call for 7 individuals, residents of the town, not affiliated with any office, whether appointed or elected, no member of any board, committee, or commission, not an employee. In other words, 7 total residents that are unbiased, have no alliance to any specific additional body within the town, to come together and form a committee. And the mission of that committee was quite simple. We were to examine the existing town charter, which was published in 2013, which you have a copy of. If you'll note, it doesn't specifically state that it's a charter, but a call under a specific clause within the state of Massachusetts to create a document that could then be construed or named a charter, a town charter. We have been tasked in our mission to basically review, revise, amend, update, correct that charter so that it meets the following conditions. First and foremost, it must be accurate. It must be transparent. Roles and responsibilities must be clearly defined. It must be enabling, i.e. not only for the existing town governance structure, but also position well, the verbiage must be positioned us well in the future. And so that's the task we have been chartered with. Again, 7 people. In January, the 7 people, volunteers, were in effect onboarded and trained. Our first meeting was January 13th, where I will call that we created our structure with our committee and set up a schedule to proceed. 2 weeks later, on January 27th, we published and went before the select board and provided our intent around what we intended to do. Since then, we have been consistent in meeting with our twice a month. We try to coordinate those meetings, which are open to the public and everyone, on the second and fourth Monday of each month, coinciding to and right before the select board. And one of the means for us to effect the changes necessary for that charter to truly be a charter and meet the requirements as defined by the state and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, we have begun to interview all of the people, all of what we call or term to be key stakeholders. You, as planning board members, are considered to be key stakeholders. We have been busy interviewing since that 27th. Every town official, whether elected or appointed, every department manager. We've even begun to interview employees. And we have begun, you being our third, to begin interviewing or presenting and discussing our intent and your engagement in our process with all of the board committees and commissions. You have in front of you the existing town charter. I imagine at this point you have not had a chance to review it, nor will I ask you to do so tonight.
Contrary, I have reviewed it.
Oh, good, good. But what I would like to do, and I would ask Brooke if she would, please. Could you take these and distribute to the board for me, please?
I guess, I just have a quick question as we're going through handouts here.
Sure.
Based on what took place last fall with the special town meeting and the changes to the charter, because they have been enacted, signed by the governor and the state legislature,
Correct.
why is there not like an addendum to this saying that that's where we are? Because in fact, this is not then, thank you.
Are you speaking to the
the
select
exi-
board increase
Yeah,
from 3 to 5?
Right.
Okay. Our current draft
Okay,
was just updated to 3 to 5. However, there are many, many more changes that will occur as a result of our interviews and investigation.
Okay.
Okay? Does that answer your question?
It does. As I said, I just thought you would have put an addendum on the back here that says on, December 31st or January 1st of 2025, the charter was amended to read thus, whatever. But, because that is in place. That has been enacted, and it's,
Correct.
okay.
But we are interested tonight in engaging you in two capacities. Number one, as a board, an active board, which we consider to be stakeholders. And the second engagement we're asking you to participate in is one of, if you are a town resident,
Well, everybody
wa-
here is.
we want you to think in terms in responding back to us with your insights, feelings, okay, impressions of reading this charter. We want you to answer in two different contexts. One as a board member, but also then as a resident as well. And I would call your attention to the document that we just passed out. If you read what is bold and italicized, that is the definition I spoke of relative to the accepted and approved definition of a town charter from the state and Commonwealth of Massachusetts. The first order we would ask you to consider is based upon the fact that once you have a chance to read this, what are your impressions in meeting the criteria as defined by that definition relative to the existing charter? That's something we would ask you to share. Secondly, you all have been participating in town for a number of years. What has changed over the last few years, or in the time that you have served, that you think should be included? I also would point out to you the words government structure under which a town operates that may create local departments, distribute powers and duties, responsibilities among those, and establish and define certain procedures to be followed by a city or town government. Our view is that every committee, board, or commission operates in its service to the community in some form of governance or rule or regulation, something you all must adhere to. Therefore, we consider as key stakeholders that every one of you should be included within the town charter because you provided valuable service within the context of that governance. We'd like you to consider that.
Can I ask questions?
You can.
Okay, all right. So, based on what's here, the existing, I find it a little, I'm going to use the word burdensome or too detailed in a sense that we enacted a form of government by town administrator back in, I'm going to say, it was prior to before 13, but
Correct.
okay. But anyway, so that was in there. But I find when I read through this, there's a lot of detail spelled out as to what, for lack of better terms, I'm going to say a job description. And because this is a document that becomes a law, it's very difficult then to amend or change any of that. Am I on the right path, or did I misinterpret really what's in here? Because I've looked at some other towns, which I know you folks have, but I mean, just the nature of my business is I deal with cities and towns throughout New England. So when I'm in Massachusetts and I have a fairly good relationship with some of those town people, I get to ask questions. And I kind of see things, or I've been given documentation that says, hey, this is what we do. Look, it's on our webpage and blah, blah, blah. Here it is, and you can look at it. So I find at the present time that I would say ours is very detail-oriented in terms of the town administrator and their responsibilities. Again, am I kind of on the right track here, or am I missing something you want to add more? Like you want to put in what the planning board should do in these terms, and then what the select board will be doing. That's part of it in here, and then the zoning board, and then finance committee. I mean, are we going to go and put a page or a description of the interaction with the community as to what each of those elected, appointed, or however nominated positions, committees, and groups are?
You are not the first person to call to our attention in the interview, or what we're calling the information gathering phase, which is what we're in now.
Okay.
You are not the first to make an observation that the charter, if you can call it that, reads like a job description for the town administrator.
Okay. Again,
You are not the first person to say
That's fine. But as I said, my concern was that if it's there, the only way to amend it is to change it at some point, and then you have to send it back to the legislature, and it may take up to, I don't know, 2 months, 2 years to get it reviewed, passed, and accepted.
Okay. What I'll share with you is our current timeline, and I'll give you a sense.
That would be
Hopefully,
great.
it helps.
That would be great.
Right now, we are in information gathering. We hope to finish all of our interviews, initial interviews of what we've called the stakeholders. Now, not residents. I'm very clear, right? Everybody else. Were the interviews, first round of interviews, by the end of June, early July at the latest.
Okay.
The second half of the year, we are targeting what we call information sharing, where we will actually take everything we've gathered as input and create a draft of the new charter. We will leverage some things in here, but we can't delve into great deals of detail, because what we don't want to create is a 90-page town charter. No one will read it.
I agree,
It's
as I said.
not going to be effective.
Right.
So part of our talent, I hope, or I know, is going to be, we're going to be very succinct in our definition of roles and responsibilities and the interdependencies and interactions of how government works within this town. And where we need to delve into specific additional detail, we'll include a link to that detail
All right.
to minimize the pages. Now, can I tell you how long the thing is going to be when we're done? I have no idea.
Okay. I guess.
I have a general idea.
I mean, I like the word succinct, and I like brevity. And,
Right.
And cleanliness or compactness. That
Effective,
clear-
efficiency,
there you go, clear and
transparency, right.
So,
And that being said, then, the second half, all right, during that second half, when we created our draft, we're going to loop back with all of you. We're going to have you review what we've created. Did we hear you? Did we balance well? Is it effective and efficient?
All right.
Okay, is it transparent? Is there clear? One of the things we've discovered is there's a tremendous discrepancy upon the various documents within this town. And there's a great deal of ambiguity and inconsistency.
For instance, just give me one example, just so I understand where you're going.
Roles and responsibilities defined by the charter, by contracts, and by other by bylaws. All are in direct ambiguity to each other.
Okay.
In the end, it's important to note that this charter sits as the top document of any town. It
Sure.
sits as the number one authority and should be supported by all the bylaws, contracts, et cetera, underneath it. All right?
Okay.
Third phase, which begins in 2026, is what we're calling the transparency tour. We're going to be going out to all of the residents. We're going to get coffee hours. We're going to do, articles in the newspaper. We're going to be handing out newsletters. In fact, we're going to hand out our first newsletter to kind of give everyone a kind of inkling as to what we're about and what we're doing so far in this spring town meeting in May. Our goal and our target goal is for publication acceptance at the town meeting in spring of 2026. That's our target.
Okay.
Once that's done and passed by the town in a warrant, it will then go on to the AG for them to review and sign,
Correct?
and then the governor.
Okay.
And then it becomes the official town
All
charter.
right, so yes, if you got, I
I'd
was,
like to.
please, go right ahead.
So this really is a legal document, which if the definitions have to be clear,
Yes,
in my opinion, because if it's clear, then you don't end up in silly challenges in the future because it's just so clear. So I kind of waver on the side, be as specific as you can, so there isn't any debate. If there is a debate, you want this to hold up in a court of law.
correct.
To be the deciding document. So
Correct.
that's kind of how I'm looking at this. It's not just a nice reading material for anyone interested in the town. It is a legal document that guides the town.
And luckily for us, on my committee, I have 2 lawyers.
Good, okay.
Again, don't misunderstand my statement is we don't want it to be 88 pages. It will be as clear and concise and informative and transparent. And the number of pages to make that happen will be what is necessary to make that happen,
So,
okay? But what I'm saying is, I don't want to replicate a job description, which is exactly what a lot of this is for the town administrator.
Correct, the current,
And I-
I agree, the current.
What I could make a link in the content of the new to that job description, saying if you want further detail, just go here. Click on it and go here.
That's fine.
yeah, there are a few examples in other local towns where the town has had dispute between departments and the administrator, and without a strong document that clearly defines authorities, it ends up going into a matter of opinion,
Agreed,
and we don't want that.
which is exactly where we are today, my
Yep.
friend.
So in, like, the planning board, I would expect it will be clearly defined the authorities and responsibilities that we have, and the hierarchy, if there is an above hierarchy, to overrule that.
As well as what are the other departments that you depend on, and they depend on you? What are the interdependencies? For example, I would assume that the planning board, based on this evening, the zoning committee, I would assume, has an interdependency or a working relationship with you in some capacity.
They do. They do. You're absolutely right. I mean, we deal primarily with subdivision of land.
Yep,
Okay, so for somebody to come and bring a plan forward, they have to adhere to the zoning bylaws and then get their group of professionals, whether they be engineers or surveyors or whatever, conservation people that understand wetlands and things like that. They create a set of plans, bring it to the board. We then ask, at this point, that I believe there are 10 sets of plans, so one goes to highway, water, police, fire, conservation, Board of Health, 2 on file here and something, but it goes on and on and on for the review. That's a preliminary submission, and then if everything tends to move through those channels, it then would be resubmitted or come back to us as a definitive plan, and we would proceed with that. So that's when we take comment from the public, meaning abutters or neighbors, or what is this going to do? How is this going to affect the overall whatever, whether it's the population, the effect on schools, streets and highways, how are we building, are the roads going to be wide enough, are we having sidewalks? I mean, they're all in those zoning bylaws. And again, as long as they comply with that, we send it out for review by the town engineer, and comments are taken. We have a hearing for both times, the preliminary and the definitive. Definitive is more important, but we invite all of the abutters for a preliminary submission, anybody within 300 feet of that land piece, to come and give us their comments, because that's the only way we can be effective, is to make sure that everybody is on the same page. Transparency, again, that's what we're getting to. There's nothing to be hidden here.
yeah.
And then if things change, if somebody wants to, subdivide a lot from, a larger one into 2 smaller lots, we can go through that. However, any lot that has frontage on an existing town road is called an A&R, which is approval not required, because the lot is already there. That piece of land is on a plan somewhere in town, and you can use that as long as it meets the frontage for the street. So at that point, you can put one house on it, or you can decide to take your large piece of land and, again, subdivide it with a road and frontages and all this kind of stuff. But that's really the gist of what we do. We're trying to control development.
Understood. I've been remiss. I should have introduced my other members of the committee.
And like me
Stay.
too, as I say.
Yeah. To my right is Gary Goldberg.
Lawyer.
My left, yes,
Yes.
is Chuck Putney.
Not a lawyer.
Not a,
He is, but he is our technician. IT, this is the guy.
okay.
In the back, Mr. David Johnson, or as we call him, DJ. DJ, you want to wave your hand? I can barely see you. There he is.
There he is.
Another lawyer.
Okay.
Anyway, I have a request, Mr. Chair. My
Sure.
request is as such. I would ask that every member of your committee individually respond to us. And, Brooke, can you send out my email address to all these fine people?
Yes.
At your leisure, okay? Please let us know, A, what you think, what your feedback is. And again, I request in the context of both a planning board member as well as a resident, if you are both. Because both entities are stakeholders, as far as we're concerned, and are critical to our success. Okay?
It's fine.
All right.
May I
With
also
that,
introduce, well, I'd rather just introduce our members of the board to your folks. So
That
Sid-
would be wonderful,
Sid,
and
what-
ask them if they have any questions. 'Cause
There we
I am
go.
More than willing, we are more than willing
There you
to
go.
field
The-
any
the
questions.
First gentleman that you engaged in a dialogue with is David Bloom,
Not an engine, not a
not a
Not a
lawyer.
lawyer.
engineer.
And then we have Bruno Frangillo, who's our newest member. And next to him is Peter Shore,
Hi, Peter.
and the vice chair is Jason Burgess. And again, my name is Neil Bagdis. So,
Oh, we know you.
yes,
Well,
I have been on this board for some 26 years.
Yes.
So, and Gary, I was kidding, but I remember you came before the board at one point with issues or, I guess, projects down at your end of town there. Am I correct in that? Did I remember you?
Oh, yes.
Okay, there you go. So as I said, I knew that. So, but that's where we are. And again, your requests through Brooke can get to every member of this committee, and we will answer and help you any way that we can,
Great.
okay? Does anybody else have questions, I mean, on the board
Yeah,
as we're
please.
sitting here?
I would just make a comment that I did redo it this afternoon, and it made a lot more sense to me after I had artificial intelligence give me a summary on it. It seemed-
Are you talking the document?
The document, the charter.
The existing charter?
It's pretty wordy, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
By the way, you're not the first person to tell us that either.
Yeah.
All right, so with that, if you guys are set,
We're set.
okay.
Appreciate it. Again, thank you for your time and attention. And Neil, thank you for quickly responding and putting us on
Not a
the
problem.
agenda.
Well, as I said, the next meeting will be April 7th, but that's the hearing, and I didn't think you'd want to sit through that. And then after that, we're facing the town meeting, so it'll be after the town meeting. Our normal meeting night is the third Monday of every month, just because we need to be here for the short term because of the zoning and subdivision and all that stuff, trying to get it passed and through. So we're recording and broadcasting everything that we're doing right now, so more people have the ability to be informed as to the progress that we're making.
Okay.
Okay?
And we are again on the second and fourth Monday at 5:45 till 6:45, right before the select board.
Okay.
And I will tell you, due to personal health reasons, one of our members of our committee had to resign, so we are looking for another resource. Certainly can use the help. If you know someone that might be interested or is willing to
Okay.
to join, to volunteer, we would welcome them with open arms.
Okay, there you
Okay.
go. All right.
With that, folks, thank you again.
Thank you. All right. So just to get back on our track here, you're all aware of where we're going now. So the next meeting is April 7th, 3 weeks from tonight, for the public hearing on the proposed changes, or I'm going to say, I'm no longer going to call them changes, the improvements to the zoning rules and regs. I think it's just going to make it a lot easier to get through with that stuff and allow people with the submission of projects to have a clear and concise understanding of what we're looking for. So our next meeting on D on the agenda is April 7th at 7 PM.
That's the first Monday of April?
It is,
Is
because,
that going to conflict with the select board?
no, we
The
already
second.
kind of, they're not having a meeting that night.
Okay.
That's how we got to that day. Because we needed to have it done so many days before the annual town meeting.
Right.
And the warrant, and
Yep.
there's all kinds of
Yep. Timeline.
minutia under the current of this thing of what's going on here. We just want to make sure we can comply. So, any old business to come before the board? All right, I have information for you folks. This is specifically for members of the planning board. Lori Becker has set up a seminar this Thursday at, is it 1 o'clock? I think it is.
Yes, I believe it is.
There's somebody from the state coming to talk to town clerks, town planners, members of the planning boards and committees to give you some additional insight as to how to deal with some of the things that we're currently involved with, specifically for us, the MBTA community compliance. So I agreed to go. I have no problem going. I'll make the time. I sent it to Jason just as the vice chair saying if that. But Lori came back today and said there are still a few openings. So if anybody is interested at 1 o'clock, it is in person and it's here. It's not a Zoom, so you'd have to take, she's figuring an hour and a half to 2 hours for the program from the state. But if you'd like to do that, you need to let her know probably tomorrow. So she's checking off so we don't end up with too many people in the end. So I think it would be worthwhile for anybody else that wanted to join us. It's just an informational thing to help us, that's all. Brooke, are you coming to that?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So there'll be 3 of us, so that's good right now. And if, as I said, if Peter or Bruno or,
Don't know yet.
oh, that's fine. But I just told you tonight because I
Yeah.
said that's, so if it works out, that would be great. Just let Lori Becker know. You can call her or email Brooke, and we'll get it through to the powers that be. Other than that, I'm good. We can take a motion, any questions from anybody else? I don't want to interrupt anybody. We're good?
I have a couple questions about
Please go.
the bylaws. If we had some thoughts or concerns about any changes made to that, when's a good time to talk about those? During a public session or probably not?
We could talk about it tonight. I don't have copies of it yet, but I
Yeah.
mean, at least Brooke will have, she'll make note of it. What do you want to,
I just know, actually, and Bruno brought to my attention some of the bylaws in regards to like parking areas and things. It seemed it had maximums on some single-family stuff that seemed odd.
okay, is it in the red line version that you saw, or is it in the existing?
It was in the red line.
In the red line?
Yeah, it was in a red line chart that looks like it was the updated version
Right.
of the chart.
Do you have access to this? If we plug you in with that cable, can you put something up on the screen if you have it on your computer? Again, you didn't prepare for this, so I'm not,
I'm not sure if I would be able to do that.
okay.
I'll just give you, for instance, or
Please, yes.
discuss it. I think it talked about parking areas. It seemed to be mostly business related, but there wasn't clear definitions about it. I think it may be an opportunity for another definition to be added to like describe parking areas, for instance. But it did specifically say like a maximum of 2 parking spaces for a single-family home.
I think that was if you had a business in your house, meaning like a salon, a barber, a tax consultant, a CPA. They didn't want to have, I mean, I remember discussing, you weren't there, Brooke, but when we went through this, it was, we didn't want to have an onslaught of cars showing up with overlapping times. So we were.
That makes sense,
We
yeah.
were hoping that if I was a tax consultant, you were coming to have your taxes done, I would say, okay, Jason, you're there from, let's say, 1 to 3, and I would schedule my next appointment at 3:30, not at 3 o'clock, so that we would have a crossover of times. That's what we were hoping for.
Yeah, it seems The way it's written, it seems like it applies to any building, any single family, so I
Okay.
don't know if it's missing a definition or a
So
word or
that's-
something.
Residential parking or on, you said it was in the business?
It was in the section 13
there you go,
regarding
section-
to parking areas, I believe.
Okay, I will look it up and we'll get, you and I'll talk, just
Yeah,
to make sure. And
just-
Bruno, yes, what else? you
There's one more, was 13.7F, talked about
13,
vehicle
say it again,
repairs. 13.7, paragraph F,
got? F. Okay.
yeah. Talked about vehicle repairs in the driveway. Is
Okay.
that's more for commercial, or is that?
Well,
include
again, it's for
resident? Only
somebody that-
because, farmers, people doing their own oil
Well,
change.
no, but see, this is what I'm saying, we're trying to make this transparent
Yeah.
and clear, so that if you had we'll say a repair business, like
Okay, so
people have
it's
small engine
strictly
repair.
commercial.
Mm-hmm.
then.
So could you be doing that outside versus in an enclosed space? It depends on the size of what you're working on.
So it really just revolves around the commerce then? We're not talking about the farmers or the
No,
residents? doing
but
their own
again,
equipment?
we need to make sure that it's
Yeah.
clear and concise.
Okay.
Yeah, I assumed that was the intention for businesses, but it didn't seem clear, and even referring back to definitions and stuff, it seemed.
And again, part of this may have been woven into the documents we were looking at to expand the business zone, which is totally off the table tonight. I can't say that enough right now. Existing businesses will stay the way that they are. We're not expanding the business zoning at all. But, okay, as long as you have the specific one, we'll make sure, and that you said it was in a table also.
Yeah, which is in section 13, I think
Okay.
it might have been 13.9 or something like that.
All right, we'll look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a table right before 13.6.
Okay. All right,
13.5.
so, as I said, I'll look at it when I get back, and you'll hear from me.
I do think it makes sense for business areas. I just think it's not clear that it applies to only
Okay.
businesses.
Yeah, because we have, the term I used was cottage businesses. Like, I have an office in my house.
As do I.
Right, but I don't have any customers come to the house. It's a mailbox, and, that's what I have, and I have a computer there that, if I choose to use it, I use it. If not, I use my phone when I'm traveling or whatever, but that's what it's for. And then the other thing, when you talked about parking, I wanted to make sure with the ADU, the accessory dwelling units, now we're limiting, if you build an ADU that's a bedroom, bathroom, kitchen, living space, you're allowed one spot. So if you have your home that you and your wife have a car, your kids have a car, and you put an ADU out there, you need to have a space for that additional vehicle that may be coming that doesn't interfere with any of your primary residence vehicles, I guess is how I'd say it. So,
Which makes sense.
yeah.
Yeah.
Again, thanks for going through and reading it. I commend you for that, because it's a long, drawn-out document right now. And when you read the red line, it's twice as long as the existing document, because we move things all around in there. Anything else?
That was it.
Okay, so those are the parking ones. You good there, Mr.
I'm good
Bloom?
for now.
For now, okay. Peter, you're good?
I'm good.
All right, we will see you hopefully on April 7th, and you have PayPal. You won't be here.
I will not. I have a school committee
All right,
meeting.
that's fine. So then at that point, I would take a motion to adjourn.
So moved?
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're off the clock. 7:44.